Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. This episode, we're taking a look at a game about the man, the ultimate warrior of history, the greatest military commander ever. One of the few people in history to have the name The Great attached to him. And that is Alexander the Great. Field Commander Alexander, to be exact, by DVG Games. And I just was looking at this before. I was like, whoa. It was like 2009 this game came out. So this game been out for 10 years now. So 10 years and soon to be 54 plays later, I still am enjoying this game. Now this is part of the Field Commander series, done by DVG Games. You might be familiar with some of the other ones. Rommel, Napoleon, Nimitz. Yeah, the Fleet Commander Nimitz is, yeah, okay, it's got issues. The other two I enjoy from time to time. But the Alexander one, of course, Alexander was my first real interest in military history. I read the book Alexander the Great, Scientist and King way back, by Suggs, I believe, is the author, way back when I was in elementary school, 3rd, 4th grade, and it just fueled my imagination and my interest in history and military history, period. And ever since then, I've been an Alexander man. I mean, I named my firstborn son Alexander. So, the thing that's interesting about Alexander the Great is there's not a whole lot of good games about him out there. There are a lot of games, like the old Avalon Hill Alexander game, which basically covers the Battle of Gaugamela. There's the Conquerors, which GMT did some numbers of years ago, which was supposed to be part of a line, but I don't think the Alexander did that well, so I've never seen another one from it. I could be wrong, but I've never seen one. The only two games I really have enjoyed about Alexander is this one here, and also Alexander at Tyre, which was done by, I believe, Thunderhaven Games back in the early 90s. Small game company. Kind of hard to track down a copy now, but if you're into sieges in particular, because it's all about the siege of Tyre, it's well worth it too. Speaking of Alexander, and just to kind of throw out there too, for those of you who are interested, a good starting point, especially if you're into the military history, is Fuller's book, JFC Fuller's Alexander, the Generalship of Alexander the Great. It has a nice opening chapter which shows the narrative of his campaigns, and then he analyzes the different parts of Alexander's military skill in terms of battles, sieges, and also in irregular warfare, which he actually was involved in a lot more than you might think, because he went through and placated all of what's basically now Afghanistan, which is impressive in and of itself when you think about it. So, yeah. So he's a very interesting individual, in my opinion. So, anyway, so I'm doing this game here. We're doing the Tyre one of this, because if you know anything about the Leader series, there's always different campaigns you can do. So I'm focusing on Tyre for a variety of reasons. Part of it is I do like the Siege of Tyre. It's very interesting. It is probably my favorite siege in history. It is remarkable, too, that Nebuchadnezzar tried to capture the city of Tyre. 13 years he laid siege to it. No luck. And Alexander did it in a matter of months. So that's just mind-blowing. So, okay. So, as always, let's just jump right in and bring you up to speed. Now, one thing, of course, with the Field Commander series is you can either do it separately. As you can see here, there's a campaign set up. Or you can do it as part of a bigger campaign. I already did the Granicus and Ishus campaign, so I have a little different setup here than Alexander's army and such. But everything else, is here. You can set things up. And then Tyre is a unique situation. So there's a lot of special rules, as you can see right here in the middle, that deal with this. Some of the special rules, okay, basically you can see there is the island of Tyre itself. And up here, you've got the warship track, which is basically the Persian fleet trying to defeat Alexander and keep, of course, the island from being captured. You've got the mole, which Alexander built from the coast over to the island, which still exists to this very day. If you ever get to Lebanon, which is where Tyre is, modern day Tyre is at. Then down here you have the siege ships, which Alexander eventually used to breach the walls around Tyre. That's how they actually finally got in. And then you have your transport ships as well, too, that you have to kind of maintain. So there's quite a few things going on here. Unlike the other Alexander games, which basically you're marching, engaging in battles and stuff, this one, the siege is the centerpiece, and then of course eventually down here you have Gaza, which Gaza of course was a fortified city that sat on a plateau, and when Alexander eventually captured Tyre and then got down to Gaza on his way to Egypt, or Egypt proper I guess you could say, Gaza basically kind of, you know, laughed at him, mocked him and stuff because they were on this plateau and like we're safe. So Alexander built contraptions and just you know, had his men bring up the sand and filled sand all around the plateau and was like, yeah, now where's your plateau, you jags? And, you know, took care of the situation, so to speak. So I probably won't do this part. I'll probably just focus on the Tyre part, to be honest, just to give you an idea of the game. This one's a little more narrative than some of the other Field Commander games, but this does give a good feeling of what it's like, or what it, you know, what it could be like to be like Alexander the Great. Okay, so I'm starting the campaign here. Alexander's army's up here. I'm going to have to get down here to Old Tyre in order to eventually attack, quote-unquote, New Tyre and capture the city. So that will be the big focal point for us here, okay? And with that, once I manage to pull that off, and we'll talk about, you know, how the siege ships work and all that stuff here in a minute, then I'll have to fight my way into the city, much like, again, Alexander did. And again, if this interests you, that game, Alexander at Tyre, does a nice job of going through all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so let's just start off here. We have 15 gold per the scenario rules. I have 2 advisors for Alexander. I have Parmenio, which is always my first one I pick because he's -3 enemy battle plans when there's any battle. And then I also have Callisthenes, I think is how you pronounce that, who gives me extra glory, which can be used to purchase different things in the games. New advisors, insights, things of that nature. Okay, so let's get rolling. So this opening turn, we start here in January of 332 BC. So we advance the turn counter. We don't need to refit anything. If you had any wounded forces, and for my forces, all I have is a very small army here to begin the Tyre campaign. This is all I have left over from last time. I have the ubiquitous companion cavalry, Alexander himself, and then I have 2 phalanxes involved as well, too, for the campaign. So, back to Tyre. Now, another thing to refit, I don't have anybody to fix, as it were, if you want to think of it that way. Alright. Now, Gaza enemy orders. Now, the enemy orders are printed here on the map. You can see there's 2 columns for them, Tyre and Gaza. Now, Tyre you don't roll during January 332 BC. Gaza you do. And it's very simple. You just roll a die. So in this case, I rolled a 6. And then you count the number of spaces between Alexander and Gaza. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 and 4 is 10. We read the chart. 9 plus, they do nothing. So Gaza's hanging out, not feeling threatened by Alexander. Probably sitting there being like, psh, man, he ain't never gonna get past Tyre. We don't have to worry about him. No sweat. Okay? So there's no Tyre orders, and there's no siege attacks because I have no siege ships yet. Okay? So now we go on to the conquest part of it. Now the conquest is when Alexander's army moves. Now every time Alexander's army moves, you roll a die, and depending on what you roll, that will dictate what happens with the army moving. So in this particular case here, I have rolled a 4. Now, I have 4 forces here. If the number is equal, the die roll is equal to the number of forces I have, then it doesn't cost me anything to move, which is perfect. Because right now I need all the money I can get to build siege ships and to reduce the Persians, the fleet that's available to defend Tyre. Okay. Now if the number was higher, let's say I rolled a 6, then you have to take out the differences in hits on your forces. If it's lower, let's say I rolled a 1, then you have to subtract that much gold. So if I had rolled a 1, I have 4 forces, then I would end up subtracting 3 gold. But as it is, I lucked out. I rolled a 4. So Alexander marches into Old Tyre, which is perfect, as the kit would say. Because now, once I get the wall breached, yeah, baby, I'll be ready to come in and have a party. Okay? Now, the rest of this Conquest roll I don't really have to worry about because the walls are intact in Tyre. And I have nothing else to do except go to the resupply step, which here I get to gain my gold. Now, on the resupply step, it's always printed on each campaign what you get. Okay, so here you can see, okay, as far as what I gain, I get 1 gold just for the turn. I get 3 per transport. Well, right now I have 2 transports. So 3 times 2 is 6. That's 7 more gold I get. And I get some other ones whenever I govern places, enemy forces destroyed, raise a place, which gives you immediate money. In the game, if you govern, you get money every single turn, but if you raise a place, you get that money instantly. It goes into your coffers, and you can keep, you know, like Aerosmith said, train kept rolling, and you can just keep on the march there. Okay, so I get 7 more, so that gives me 22. To quote Casablanca, I got 22 gold. Okay. So, first things first, let's get some siege steps. Now, as you can see here on the siege step, try to say that fast 3 times, right? The siege ship's track, you have how much gold it costs. So the first ship cost me 1 gold, the second 2, and the third one 3. So obviously I'm going to pay that 6 gold and get 3 siege ships. So now I've got 16 gold left. So I'm going to go up to here. And again, you can see printed right on the track. I'm going to reduce the fleet that is available to defend Tyre. I keep referring to it as the Persian fleet because, I mean, a lot of the ships were connected to the Persian Empire, even though Alexander had marched along the coast and basically had crippled Persia's advantage with his fleet by just taking over the ports. So, you know, fleet doesn't do any good if it has a place to go, so to speak. All right. So, I've spent 6. So I have 16 left. So again, now this is a little more expensive, okay, to reduce this. You can see there's 3 gold and then 6 gold, so that's 9 gold. So 16 minus 9 is 7. So I can drop it down to 2 ships. I can't drop it any further because that costs 10. So with my 7 gold I have left, I'm going to spend 4 gold to get myself another transport ship. So that takes me down to 3. And I'll spend 1 gold, taking me down to 2. And I'll start building the mole. Now, if the mole gets to the last track space, then you can basically, you breach the wall, you can try to fight your way into the city. Typically, I'll be honest, I don't spend too much time on the mole because I think the siege ships are the way to go. But since one of the enemy orders is a hit on the mole or you lose money, I prefer to have, if I can, spare the gold, which at this point I think I can. I prefer to do it this way, so that way I can move that back 1. By the way, with the Persian orders, the Tyre orders, I should say, if you cannot perform it, then you basically take a hit to your forces for any order that you cannot. And that's the end of the turn. So we're done with January of 332 BC. So let's come back out here a little bit now. We'll move into February of 332. Okay. So we advanced the turn counter, nothing to refit. Gaza, let's see if Gaza is feeling as, you know, serene as they did last time. This time it's a 2 that Gaza rolled. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. 3 and 2 is 5. So we check the enemy orders. Oh, 1 garrison. Now when there's a garrison, you blindly draw 1 unit from the cup, and you place it in the city. So into Gaza, they're going to get some light cavalry. That'll be awaiting Alexander when he gets that far. Okay. Now, we have 2 Persian warships up here. So now we do the Tyre enemy orders. So we're going to roll twice for each warship. Whoops. Let's go the other way. There we go. And let's see what happens. Okay. So how bad is this going to be? Well, let's see. So the first thing we rolled was a 1. So it has to destroy a transport ship. So good thing I bought that 1 transport. Curses! And that's the big way Alexander gets his money. In this one here. Now the second roll was a 6. So I have to destroy a siege ship or lose 2 gold. I'm going to lose the 2 gold. Because the siege ships are the key, again, in my opinion. So good thing I saved that 2 gold. Otherwise, I would be up on sanitary waters without proper means of propelling myself forward right now. Alright. So, now, speaking of the siege ships, it's time for those boys to earn their pay. So I have 3 of them. So now, I will roll a die. And you can see the value on the siege ships is a 3. So I need 3 or less to try and get a hit on a wall. So let's see how I do. Holy crackers. You gotta be kidding me. That's not good so far. Oh, hey, there's at least a hit. Okay, perfect. So I got 1 hit. Now, each of the walls on Tyre is numbered, 1 through 6. So when you get a hit, what you end up doing is you have to roll a die to randomly see which wall gets hit. So it could be a little bit before you manage to breach the wall. So I rolled a 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now this wall down here is damaged. And until one of those walls is breached, it's completely eliminated, Alexander cannot attack into the city. I just kind of have to sit there and build my mole and build my siege ships and twiddle my thumbs. Okay, so that's it. I can't move anywhere. I can't conquer anything. I'm just going to sit still and I'm going to gain my gold. So I get 1 gold from per turn and then 3 per transport. So it only gives me 7 gold total. So that's a little disappointing. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and spend, try to get more transports again. So I'm going to spend 4 of that 7 gold, but I'm going to save the other. Well, you know what? I'll save the other 2 again. I'll build the mole along. Maybe the mole will actually go faster this time. Who knows? But unfortunately, I didn't have enough gold to deal with that situation there. Alright. So now, we move down to March and April of 332 BC. Nothing to refit. Let's see what the folks in Gaza are thinking this time around. They rolled another 2. 2 and 3, and we know is 5. So that's another garrison force. So down in Gaza, oh, that's not bad. The best they could do was round up some archers. That's pretty tame. Now we have the 2 warships. The warships of the Prophecies. And on the Tyre orders, okay, after February, it's now -1 to the die roll. So let's see what we get here. So I rolled another 1. Curses. So 1, of course, is destroy a transport. I rolled a 3. -1 is a 2. So repair 1 wall or regain 1 warship. Well, I don't want to give them a warship, so unfortunately I'm going to have to let them fix wall number 4. Ooh, that's bad. Okay. Alright. Now for my siege ships. Let's see if they earn their pay this time. Holy smoke. This has got to be the worst game I've had of this so far. There's a 4, 5, and a 6. I got nothing. You got nothing. I did. I got nothing. Wow. Well, that's frustrating. Okay. Well, I mean, if I got nothing, I got nothing. Maybe the mole is going to be the way to go this time. Who knows? Oh. You know what? That actually costs 2 gold. I should only have 1 gold left. I messed that up. Sorry about that. So, back to collecting money. And unfortunately, I only get another 7. So that gives me 8 altogether. 8. Okay. So I'll spend 4 again. That leaves me with 4. And I'm going to hold on to the 4. Just in case I need to actually build the mole for real this time. Usually the siege ships go a little better than this. Alright, May, June, 332 BC. I better get on the hump if I want to be as good as Alexander. If memory serves, it's been a while since I read about Tyre, but I think Alexander was able to do it in July. Only took him 7 months. Alright, so, no refit. Gaza. Gaza rolled a 4 this time, so 4 and 3 is 7. Oh, now, they're going to get some extra glory. Perfect. Now, in the game, when Alexander successfully defeats the enemy, he gets glory, which then he can use to either buy advisors, insights, and things like that, or you can save it and use it as try that again. Immortality points for the end of the turn. So, once I win the battle in Gaza, I will get an extra glory on top of what I'm supposed to earn normally. So not too shabby. Now here comes the big roll. Doggone warships. Oh, every time. I feel like Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 3. Every time I get out, they pull me back in. So once again, you can see I rolled a 1. There goes the ship. 4 minus 1 is 3. So I destroy 1 mole or lose 3 gold. Well, I have the mole, so I'm going to move the mole backwards. I want to save the gold. Okay. Alright. Siege ships, enough clowning around. I'm getting tired of this. If I was the real Alexander, somebody's head will be rolling after this turn. So let's see what I get this time. Okay. Wow. About time what I needed here. So, I managed to roll, if I can get the dice to cooperate here, yeesh, what's with you guys? I managed to roll a 2, 2, and a 1. That's 3 hits on the walls. Yes! Alright. So now I'll roll 3 dice to find out what walls I've hit. And really what I need to do is roll doubles so I can breach a wall completely. Yeesh, can't win for losing. So, I used the white dice for the walls. So, I got a damage on wall number 2. Ding! 3. Ding! And 6. Ding! But notice, I did not destroy a wall, so I can't attack again. Okay. To quote the dude, that's a bummer, man. Alright, so now we have to hang loose again. So let's go down and get our 7 gold. 4 and 7 is 11. Alright, I'm going to spend 10 of that 11. I know it's risky. To reduce the warships down to 1. So now this time they only get to roll 1 die. So I better hope it's a good result for me. It's a little bit of a gamble. So now we're into July. Now, if you look at the turn chart here, let me zoom in on that real quick here. You see the black numbers there? That's how many victory points you get, which turn into immortality points for the campaign. So right now, if I manage to somehow finish this off, which means I'd have to capture Tyre and march all the way down to Gaza and capture Gaza, I would get 40 victory points. Unlikely at this point, which again means I'm no Alexander, but hey, who can be? So, that's where we're at. Okay, once again, nothing to refit. And let's see what Gaza's going to do. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So I either have to lose 2 gold or suffer a hit. Well, I can't lose any gold. I don't have the gold. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to flip over one of my phalanxes. And now, the important roll, the warship. Alright, let's see here. 5 minus 1 is 4, so destroying the mole. So I do have a mole, so to speak, to get rid of, so I can slide back. Okay. Alright, warships. To quote Sergeant Horvath in Saving Private Ryan, alright you guys, get out of my beep and get moving. Okay. 2 more hits. I rolled a 6 and 2 1s. Alright, here's hoping. So, we need a 2, 3, or a 6 with these 2 dice. Yes! So, the wall at 6 came down. The wall at 1 got damaged. Now, all I need is 1 wall down. Once the wall is down, then Alexander can attack Tyre. Alright. Now, I can roll my Conquest roll. Now, the only problem is I only have 1 gold. So I need a good roll here. So let's hope I get a good roll. So, my roll is a 3. So it is a good roll. 4 minus 3 is 1. Hey, perfect. I only had 1 gold left. Alright, so Alexander's army heads into Tyre. And we'll do this battle for you. So you can see how this works for the other campaigns. Okay. Sorry, TV timeout. Here as I get the battlefield organized. There is a battlefield space on the paper, but I just don't like it, so I don't use it. Okay. So, I've lined up the armies here. Now, each unit, if you take a look here, we'll zoom in on the companion cavalry. Each unit has a speed value, 3, that tells when it gets to attack in the turn. Faster units get to fire first and inflict damage before slower units have a chance to react. The first number is your to hit number. So here I need 4 or less to get a hit. Superscript numbers allow for double hits. So in this particular case here, if I roll a 4, not only to get 1 hit, I get 2 hits. But if we look at Alexander here, see how it says 3 and 1? Well, if Alexander rolled a 3, he would get 1 hit. But if he rolled a 1, he would get 2 hits. Okay, that's what the superscript number does for you. Okay, so we're going to do a battle here. Now, normally, the enemy would get battle plans. They get 1 battle plan per enemy force. But since I have Parmenio, which is minus 3 enemy battle plans, they only have 3 units, so the enemy gets nothing. You get a number of battle plans equal to Alexander's battle rating, which in this case happens to be 3. You don't count the superscript. You can buy more plans, but as we all know, I have no gold, so I can't do that. So I'm going to go with my standard format here. I always buy the rally one, so that way I can take an initial shock hit. And then I'll buy the charge, which in the game, after cavalry charges, which I kind of like, one thing I like about the game, after cavalry charges, they have to take a rest. So you can't attack with your cavalry 2 consecutive turns in a row. They have to take a breather, reform, however you want to put it, reorganize, because cavalry charges were messy business. Once it happened, everybody was all over the place, 3 sheets to the wind kind of thing. Not drunk, I guess, but you get the idea. Scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. So I'm using the cavalry, so I will not have to do that. I'll be able to reform them very quickly, and then the flank battle plan basically lets me get an extra hit. So if I do manage to get a hit with the companion cavalry, that will actually turn into 3 hits, which will be devastating to the defenders of Tyre. Okay, so here we go. Now, archers and peltasts have speeds of 5 and 4, so they are faster. They will get to attack first, and it's always whatever the value is or less to hit. So let's zoom in on the battle itself a little bit tighter. There we go. Yeah, come on, just a little bit. There we go. Alright, so the archers roll a 5, so that's no good. They need 2 or less. The peltasts roll a 3, again, no good. Alright. Now, the companion cavalry are the next fastest ones. They have a 3. The infantry have a 2. So, the companion cavalry charging. Alexander's elite forces. Yeah. And they rolled a 3, which is less than 4. And with the flank, that causes 3 devastating hits. Now, I can put the 3 hits wherever I want. Would make sense to hit the unit that has not had a chance to fire yet. So, 1, some units have a reduced side, which is in red. 2, that'll destroy them. And then I'll come over here and hit the archers. And notice they have nothing on the back, so they're automatically destroyed. There's my 3 hits. So, boom, goes the dynamite. Although that won't exist for many, many years to come. Alright, now I continue with Alexander, who now needs 3 or less. And, how fitting. The great Alexander will finish this battle off. He rolled a 1. That's 2 more hits. That's the end of that. And that's that. Alright. So, not bad. Alright. So now I will have to decide with Alexander what I want to do with Tyre. Do I want to govern Tyre, or do I want to raise it? There's also a prophecy there, which I will need to do as well. So let's flip the prophecy. Now the prophecies occur throughout the game, and they say different things here. So a wall of wood. So this says raise a new pivotal area sometime in the next 4 turns. That's what the little 4 in parentheses means. So Alexander has 4 turns to execute that. Whew, so I could raise Tyre. And just continue to march. That would give me 12 gold, but it would cut down on my victory points, or my immortality points, because you get 6 IM for every place you govern. But I'm losing points on the track here at the same time. So, well, if I don't raise it, I mean, I'll have some gold, and then I can march down to Gaza. But if I do raise it, I fulfill the prophecy, and I can keep going down to Gaza. Oh, and Alexander gets his glory for defeating Tyre, which is normally 2, but having the advisor Callisthenes, who wrote a history of Alexander's exploits, gives me an extra, so I actually get 3 glory for that, and I will save it. Alright, I know I'm kind of hemming and hawing over this, right? Alright, let's see, we destroyed all the walls, so that's a bunch of destroyed forces, because that gives me gold every single turn. Plus I have my transport ships bringing in gold. But I might need to buy more troops, because Gaza is pretty well defended now. There's quite a few people down there. Decisions. Well, I don't want to get too much AP here. So let's raise it. Let's just flatten it to the ground, because it resisted too long. So, boom, raise Tyre. Now that will allow Alexander to advance to the next level of glory, which, as you can see there, there's an A4. So now I will get the A5 counter as soon as I find it here. There it is. And of course, you can see his battle value increased from 3 to 4. So I've got 12 gold in the coffers, thanks to raising. So I'm going to go ahead and march south now and head towards Gaza. So here we go. I'll probably stop in Samaria, though, to build up. So 5. Ouch. Well, 4. Now 5's above my 4, so I have to take another hit. So I'm going to flip my other phalanx and move down into there. And now I'll move into Samaria. 4, which matches my forces, which is perfect. Okay, now I could march into Gaza, but my army's kind of small. My phalanxes took hits, so I'm actually going to have to pause. I have no choice. So we're going to stop here, and we'll have to collect our moolah. So we already have 12 in the treasury. I know I haven't actually put it up there, but you know, it's there. So I have 12. So we're going to add to it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 more gold. So that's 21. And then going to add to it 1 for the turn. So that's 22. And then 6 more, which will give me 22. That's 28. So 28 all together. Okay, so first things first. I'll need to save 4 to refit my phalanxes. So that'll reduce me down to 18 I have to spend. Now, when you buy new forces for Alexander, you basically just pay the combat value to get it. So, for example, I'm going to buy a couple of siege engines because there is a wall at Gaza, and there may be another one by the time we get there. So those only cost 1. Okay, so that takes me down to 16. And let's see, I'm going to buy heavy cavalry. That's 3. That'll take me down to 13. And I will buy, let's see, I'll buy one more thing. That'll take me down to 10. Now I was saving the 4, so actually I have 14 left, so I can fix my phalanxes. So I've got 14 gold left in my coffers here to work on finishing this off. Okay. So now we're ready to move on to the next turn. I could build a city, which would give me extra victory points, but I want to make sure I have enough gold to do things with here, because I've got a force of 2, 4, 6. I want to have a force of 8 units here coming along. So this is going to be a big fight. So we'll leave well enough alone. So now we move into August. Refit, so I'm going to spend the 4 gold to fix 2 for each. My 2 phalanxes, so now I have 10 gold left. I would have only had 5 if I built that city. And now we got to check and see what kind of orders does Gaza get. So they get a 3. Let's see. So 2 gold or stuff for 1 hit. Well, I'll take the 2 gold because I don't want any hits right now. All right. So now I'm ready to do my conquest roll, which is a 4. Not bad. So 8 minus 4 is 4. So that will take me down to 4 gold as I march into Gaza. Alright, so here we go. Into Gaza we go. Against the enemy. Alright. There's going to be a big battle here. So give me a second to organize everybody, including the wall. Alright. So now, with this battle, there's a lot here going on. And of course, as you can see, the enemy has a lot more speed than I do. Okay, because they're going to be able to get some hits landed before I have a chance to do so. So that's a little annoying, but there's not much that I can do about that at all. So that's just that's a bit of bad luck. Now the wall will cause each one of my attacking forces to have a -2 to it. So like the companion cavalry here would be able to attack on 2 or less. It reduces the combat values and superscript values of opposing forces. That's why I built the 2 siege engines. Siege engines normally have a 1 to hit, but against walls has a +2. So now I need 3 or less, and they get to go first. They are the fastest with the 6. Okay. Now, the enemy has a total of 5 forces, -3 battle plans, so they get 2 battle plans. So let's see what their battle plans are. 1 and 2. So their battle plans, alright, so one of them is confusion. So Alexander's going to lose 1 random battle plan. And then flank, which is cavalry infantry score +1 hit. Alright. Now, Alexander has gone up to a strength of 4, so I get to choose 4 battle plans for free, and I also have some gold left. So what I'm going to do is, I'll do the rally, I'll do 2 charges, and I'll do 3 flanks. So that's 5, that's 6 altogether, and that'll work out okay. Actually, I'll do 7, which then will reduce me down to 1 gold. And what I like to do is when I buy multiple things, I just use dice behind. So like I bought 3 of these battle plans all together. So I have the counter +2 more, and the charge +1 more. And now I'm also going to play this inside counter, haha, which I can play at the beginning of a battle. And this one here. So enemy forces cannot attack the first turn. So they don't get to attack, and I get to go wild. Sounds like a plan. So here we go. Alright. So my siege engines. Yes, they came loaded for bear. So, 3 and 1 completely destroys the wall. So I don't have to worry about that. Ooh. I almost forgot. Sorry about that. I have to randomly get rid of one of Alexander's plans. So I am going to lose one of the flanks, which is why I bought an extra one. I bought a third one, to be completely honest about that. Okay, because confusion, some battle plans are done before the battle and some are done during the battle. Okay, so companion cavalry. Perfect. They got a 2. My other heavy cavalry. Awesome, they got a 3. Alright, so they're all in the same speed group. So now this will give me 2 hits, and I'll use my 2 flanks. That'll give me 3 hits per each one. That's 6 hits total. So 2, 4, 6. Bam. Just like that. The enemy is in deep doo-doo already. And now, of course, I will roll for Alexander, who rolled a 1. How fitting. The great king wipes out the archers. And now Gaza has fallen, gaining him an extra glory. So Alexander ends up with 4 glory. 2 normally, plus 1 for Callisthenes, plus 1 more that was available at Gaza. Gaza has now fallen to Alexander, with basically no scratches on his forces. Not bad. So let's come back to the map to finish this off. And now at the end of the turn, I will govern Gaza. And I will collect my gold, which will give me 6, 7, 12 gold altogether. I will spend 5 of that and build myself a city in Gaza. Whoops, that's temple side. City side. Perfect. That gives me more victory points here. And let's see, how much immortality do I have now? 2, 4, 6. I have 7. So I'm going to spend my 7 glory to choose an insight counter, because the Battle of Gaza is coming, and I'm going to choose, which one is it? Yeah, I'm going to choose this one. Now you can also spend less glory to draw one of the insights randomly, but I'm going to do it deliberately, and I will choose this one. So that way, at the Battle of Gaza, which is coming at the next campaign, the enemy does not get to draw any battle plans, which is important, because that is, quite frankly and bluntly, that's one big ass army that's waiting there from the enemy. Okay, so this is the end of the campaign. To find out how many points Alexander scored for immortality, each area governs worth 6. So Alexander only governed Gaza, so he picked up 6 for that. Unspent glory, well, I spent it all. Oh well. Victory points. Okay, so on the track over here, pump it up here a little bit. On the track is 35, plus 5 is 40, times 2, that's 80 points for immortality there. So, picked up 86 to add to the other ones I already have earlier in the game. I did well with the Granicus, but I didn't do so well with the Ishus campaign. I got some bad die rolls there. Okay, so there is the Tyre campaign completed, and now Alexander is ready to waltz into Egypt, a country that, remarkable feat, he conquered without losing a single man. Can't think of anybody else in history that's done that. That's just insane. But he did it, and then eventually, of course, we'll go on to fight Darius in 331 BC at Gaza. In the meantime, of course, we'll get an offer from Darius, basically saying, look, Alexander, I see you're cool. You can have half my empire if you call it quits. And of course, as the famous story goes, Parmenio says to Alexander, that's a good deal, I would take it. To which Alexander replied, if I were Parmenio, I would. But I'm Alexander, and will not. So away he will come. Okay? So, that's Field Commander Alexander. That's the Tyre campaign. Again, there's 4 of them in the box. There is the Granicus, Ishus, and Gaugamela also. And again, you can link this together. You can just play it separately. So if you just feel like playing a Tyre campaign, hey, just whip it out. It's got a starting thing and you can go. Again, this is a game I play like once a year. And it is my favorite game on Alexander the Great. I might show you guys another game I kickstarted last year called Alexander's Campaigns, which is basically a multiplayer game where you're trying to end Alexander's campaign as the strongest general. Because, of course, you know, Alexander on his deathbed, when he was asked who gets his empire, who does the empire go to, his response was the strongest. So, whoever that was. I guess you could argue it was Ptolemy, given longevity of how long Ptolemy's descendants ruled in Egypt, basically until Caesar Augustus came down, and or Octavian, I guess, at that point he was known as. He came down and defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra around 31 BC, if memory serves correctly. So that's, you know, I guess you could say Ptolemy was the strongest. He lasted the longest, that's for sure. Which is kind of interesting fact always that, to me, is that Cleopatra is not an Egyptian name. It is a Greek name. Alexander the Great actually had a sister named Cleopatra. And, of course, you know, if you know that his general Ptolemy ruled Egypt and his descendants, then that's where Cleopatra becomes a logical name, so to speak. So, yeah. Anyway. Used to teach ancient history. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite things to do. Some of my favorite years of teaching were the 3 or 4 years I had to do. The main emphasis was on Greece and Rome. That was like 75%, 80% of the school year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, there's Field Commander Alexander. If you like the Field Commander series, if you like narrative games, if you like Alexander, if you're an Alexander enthusiast like I am, I would definitely pick it up. It is well worth the effort. Again, a little different, and some people might find it quote-unquote boring, but you know, I think, again, one way I measure a game is, does it give the feel of whatever it is depicting, and to me this does. This definitely gives the feel of what it would be like to be like Alexander, marching your army along, dealing with all these challenges, you know, trying to complete these prophecies to basically, you know, make yourself remembered for, you know, eons to come. So there's a lot of other books about Alexander the Great out there too that you can check out. Peter Green's book is good if you're interested in that. The only one I would advise against is the Cantor book, because that one's laughable. I read that book. There's no citations. There's so many ridiculously bad mistakes. One of the most egregious ones, talking about how Caesar, whenever Caesar did his Parthian campaign, Caesar never attacked Julius Caesar, to be specific. It does say Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar never attacked the Parthian Empire. I mean, come on. That's like History 101. That's just sad, is what that is. There was other inaccuracies, too. There was just... I rarely get rid of books, like throw them away, but that is actually a book I threw away, because I wouldn't want to inflict that book on anybody. So there are lots of good books about Alexander the Great, but that is not one of them. I would steer clear of it. Yeah, it's just awful. It is awful, awful history. It is just... it's awful. There's no other way to put it. So, but again, Fuller is a great place to start, especially if you like military history and you want an analysis. You know, you want the meat, so to speak, to go with the potatoes. That's definitely the place to start. So, okay. So next time, I'm not sure. I'm leaning heavily towards next episode doing the Typhoon Solitaire, which I just received. Friday I get it. It showed up on my doorstep. No, it did show up yesterday. I'm sorry, it showed up Saturday on my doorstep. So I'm working on the rules for that right now, and I'll probably share that one as well, too. So, kind of finished my run of Pacific Theater games, I think, and now I'm kind of moving back towards the Eastern Front, because I'm also looking at Operation Kremlin on my shelf, which is a completely hypothetical game of what if, instead of putting all the resources into Case Blue, the Wehrmacht had lunged toward Moscow in 1942. So that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. So I might want to explore that. So, and just as a kind of FYI, I have no monetary stake in this or anything, but if you've enjoyed the Moscow 41 and Leningrad 41 games, tomorrow, March 11th, 2019, the Kickstarter starts for Kiev 41, which personally I'm very excited about because Army Group South games are harder to come by than Center, especially. North are not easy too, but especially in the second half of that, like after the fall of Kiev and the drive to Rostov. Those are ones that you don't see too often. So you might want to check that out. That's starting as a Kickstarter tomorrow. So that's kind of where we're at and where we're going. So, as always, this has been Tim Korchnoi from from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time from the muddy and then eventually bitterly cold, snowy Eastern Front. As always, the endless drive across the endless steppe to the endless prize of Moscow. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.